a sculpted recreation of the Turkish trenches somewhere on Gallipoli at the small coastal town of Ecevit on the other side of the Gallipoli Peninsula. Okay, the definitive story. So I'm standing in what would have been the Turkish trenches that had the machine guns that did so much damage to the Australians on the morning of the 8th of August 1915. I'm standing on Uintep, the feature, which was almost certainly the Turkish main defensive position for what happened that day. So Monash's 4th Brigade got lost overnight. Instead of coming through Australia Valley over there, leading away to the front right over that little saddle into Asmadir and up this feature onto Abdul Rahman spur line behind me, then up to Hill 971 to take the high ground. What happened is they got lost, ended up coming up from Hill 60 down there onto those open oat fields, wheat fields in the middle distance there, and up onto this feature here, which is Uintep. Uintep is a gradually rising ridgeline that runs up to Hill 100, which became a very strong Turkish fortification and position after the August offensive, or in response to the August offensive. So the Australians come from down there, were probably engaged as they came along the top of Uintep. They stuck to the high ground and eventually had to descend down into Asmadir, running left to right in front of me there. So they've come down the high ground, or from the Hill 100 position opposite me there. You can see evidence for that is my comparison of the ridgeline there, which is the sort of southern side of Australia Valley, the main ridgeline in the background, the spine of the main ridgeline on Gallipoli, and the shape of that compared to Charles Bean's photograph of where he found significant remains of Australians in 1919 when he came back here. So the Australians have come up Uintep, realised they would have to come to get up onto where I am now, which is where they wanted to come. They had to descend down into Asmadir Valley, which they tried to do, but if I was a Turkish machine gunner, and the Turks had by now set up their positions fairly well, although they were quickly hastily set up positions, but they'd done a good job, and they affected significant damage to the Australians trying to get down that slope of Hill 100, and some of them actually got into Asmadir. Behind me you could get up to Hill 971, which was their objective, but they were well short of their objective, and the Turks were in numbers quickly, and they affected great carnage. The Australians withdrew down Uintep. So Hill 971's behind me. It's just out of view behind that tree, but I'll show it to you. There's the fire tower on Hill 971 up there, centre screen. That's where the Australians were going via a track that ran up this spur line, Abdul Rahman Bear spur line behind me. And the Australians were trying to get up onto the spur line to run up to Hill 971 to take the high ground so they could command the Dardanelles with guns. So they were a long way from Hill 971 when they got fairly well massacred over there down in Asmadir Valley. Where they were supposed to come was through that saddle there, which is the saddle that leads into Australia Valley. But overnight, in the dark, they got lost and ended up down near Hill 60. With first light, they were in open ground and the Turks could see them coming. Across these paddocks back towards Hill 60, the Australian 4th Brigade lead battalions withdrew across this ground. Kajik Deer being only about 100 metres to the south. You can see the tree line there. and Hill 60 being those trees in the distance, which is where the cutting was. They probably came up, so that's where they're heading, where I'm heading now. Rest in peace, all those who perished on these slopes in 1915, these slopes of Asmodee Valley. Hill 60 Cemetery. Thank you, gentlemen, for letting me share your home for a few more days. It's time to go.